Hello, and welcome to Secular Views Shethinkers, where secular girls geek out and justifiably rage about today's news. I'm your host, Dory Mooneyham, joined by my co-host, the Dirty Nerdy.
Hello.
Unfortunately, our other co-host, Shayla Akers, is out of commission for tonight with a busted knee. So, it's just going to be me and the Dirty Nerdy tonight.
That gives me a sad.
Yeah.
I miss Shayla. I haven't seen her in like 2 weeks.
I know. Tonight we'll be discussing the week's news. The originally planned topic was the fear of science, but I would rather save that for when there's three of us to discuss it. So you're just getting a short snippet Labor Day special in order to make up for us missing Friday. We'll also select our troll of the week, and we'll probably get drunk and talk about sex, because that's what we do here on Secular View.
That's how we roll. Is that not a drop? Why isn't that a drop?
I don't know. I'm sure it will. All right, Dirty Nerdy, do you want to start us off with the first news story for the week?
Okay, I only kind of skimmed them just so our whole audience knows I got distracted while I was supposed to be looking at the news. That was what I said. I got distracted and started looking up Swedish chef memes instead. But I did read about the fast food workers strike that went on in 50 cities around the country to demand wages of $15 an hour and the right to unionize. Yay!
Yay! What a concept.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel for them. I used to work at it was sort of fast food, Taco Bell. Does that count as fast food? I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
They serve alcohol, though. I mean.
Yeah, it's got a drive-through. It's
right.
Fast food.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I'm just saying.
Whatever. Anyways, so
you have more solidarity with them now. It's a good thing.
I do have solidarity with them. That job sucked ass. And I did get paid a little above minimum wage, actually, but that's just because I worked there for a while and got, like, a couple 50-cent raises, and I was a shift leader or some shit. I don't know. But pretty much let me see, it was on Thursday, organizers said the strike will hit about 1,000 major fast food restaurants, including Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and KFC.
Aren't half of those owned by the same company?
I think they are, and also...
Taco Hut?
I think Burger King and Wendy's are the only ones that aren't owned by the same company. Or at least... You were just trying to get that in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she said. Anyways, I think some McDonald's were included in that as well. I'm almost pretty sure about that. So what do you think about this?
I worked minimum wage for way too long in my lifetime, and what drives me crazy is the rhetoric that people have about anybody who asks for more than minimum wage. I mean, here's the thing. My thought process is that in order to qualify as a minimum wage, you should be able to work full-time on just that job and be able to survive off of just that job working full-time. And you can't do that with minimum wage unless you have roommates or other sources of income like significant others, or you're living with your parents. There's no way for you to sustain yourself in an apartment by yourself living on minimum wage working full-time. So therefore minimum wage doesn't seem to be doing its fucking job.
Yeah, and really, I can't remember where. I think it was from a comedian, so this isn't directly coming from me. The best way I heard minimum wage explained is that it's really when you work a job that's minimum wage, what your employer is telling you is that they are only paying you what they are legally required to pay you. In other words, if they could, they would pay you less. That's how much you don't mean to them when they only pay you minimum wage. And I don't want to hear that bullshit about how like McDonald's or Walmart pays their employees more than minimum wage, because really fucking no, they don't. They maybe pay 10 cents or 20 cents over, which doesn't really make that much of a difference.
The only thing it accomplishes is it gives them the ability to say, we pay more than minimum wage.
Yeah, and McDonald's was even quoted saying, employees are paid competitive wages and have access to a range of benefits to meet their individual needs. And I'm just wondering, what are they competing with exactly? All the other fast food restaurants that also pay minimum wage? People who say, oh, well, you should just quit your job and get a better one. It's like, well, there aren't better ones.
Yeah.
And I can't very well get a better one without getting some sort of training or education, and in order to do that, I still have to have money.
Yeah. It's not like you go into working the world of fast food because you think you're going to get rich or anything. You're literally just doing it because you need a job and you need to survive.
You're doing it because you need to fucking eat.
Yeah.
And in fact, many of these employees, even working full-time, still fall far below the federal poverty line. And these are ones that are lucky enough to work 40 hours a week. Most of the time, you don't get 40 hours a week unless you pick up a ton of shifts, and then the managers bitch at you. So
pretty much.
You know how that is. And then not only are they not they're not making a living wage, but they're also being subsidized, basically, because so many of these employees fall below the poverty line. They're able to qualify for all sorts of government benefits because they can't survive off of the money they're making. So we're telling all these companies, hey, you can pay your employees below a living wage, and we'll pick up the tab for you. We'll pay them the rest of what they need to eat, feed their kids, and provide shelter for their family. I mean, what the fuck is that about? You want to talk about living in a welfare state? That's a welfare state.
Pretty much.
Where we tell our employers that they don't have to pay their employees enough to survive on, and the rest of the public will pick up the tab for them.
And that's what drives me crazy, is there's all these, the welfare, especially now that it's been so heavily regulated because it's everybody's favorite non-redheaded stepchilds to beat in the
I'm a
in the
redheaded
political world.
stepchild.
I said non-redheaded
That's
stepchild.
incredibly offensive.
I'm trying to avoid the phrase, but it's a phrase.
I'm trying to avoid the phrase by using the phrase.
Basically, I don't know. Fuck it. I've had three of our cocktails already today.
Yeah, that's true.
And we went swimming, and yeah. Anyway,
Swimming was fun.
Yeah, it was pretty bitchin'.
I just laid on the tube. I didn't actually swim. To clarify, there were no children at the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, moving on. There's an atheist running for mayor in Georgia, in LaGrange, Georgia. I think that's how it's said.
I don't know. It's fucking Georgia. Who knows?
LaGrange.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, normally we have atheist politicians, but he's got some weird shit. Is he trying to repeal this law? Or, I don't know. Why don't you read the quote here?
So, Mike Smith is an open atheist, and he's, of course, qualified to run for mayor, I guess, by the city ordinance. Apparently, there's a city ordinance that makes it a crime to laugh near a church. It specifically says, it shall be unlawful for any person to be engaged in loud talking or laughing or any other disorderly conduct in or near the entrance or vestibule of any church. Now, Smith says that this is only one of a few laws that pander to religion, and I can see why this law is unnecessary, seeing as how most cities already have noise ordinances and things like that, and plus churches, for the most part, I believe, are private property, so if somebody's causing a disturbance, you can ask them to leave anyways. So I don't really see why they had to specify that this has to happen near church for it to be illegal or to violate this ordinance. But he goes on to say that it's unconstitutional as well, and granted, like I said, I skimmed this and then went on to look at Swedish chef memes. But from the 10 seconds that I thought of it,
we're dedicated to quality journalism here on Secular Shethinkers.
Shut up, it's my day off. Actually, it's not. I had to work today. I'm
not supposed to be here today.
Shouldn't even be here today. That's a drop.
Yeah.
All right. So, from the way I'm looking at it right now, and I could probably be convinced otherwise, but I don't necessarily see this as unconstitutional, especially if it's already illegal. Like, if there's already noise ordinances, and if the church is already able to, under other existing laws, to get rid of people who are being disruptive on their property, I don't see this as being really unconstitutional. Maybe it was a waste of time to pass the law. I don't know. And I'm thinking really that it might be a waste of time to go through all the drama of repealing the law.
Well, and that was my initial thought with it was, I mean, for one, how is this law even enforced? I mean,
Yeah.
who knows how old this law is, if it's enforced, if it's even affecting anyone. It just seemed like, to me, if I was one of the first openly, I guess he's not elected, he's running for mayor, that's not something I would build my platform on. No, yeah, I'm sure there's a place for it, but I think there's probably more important shit to be worried about. But then again, the media could just be pulling this one weird thing that he said and been like, this is what the atheists want to do when they get elected.
Yep.
So
This is what all atheists want to do. They want to make it legal to laugh near a church.
I laugh in church all the time. Can we make it legal to fuck in church? Because that's
You
that's
don't
a goal
already
of
do
mine.
that?
I haven't been
Have
in
you
a
done
church in like 10 years. No.
Okay, we'll just move on.
All right.
we won't talk about fucking in church this week.
It's on my bucket list.
It's on your bucket list?
Yeah, that one too.
Okay.
So, speaking of fucking and churches,
I don't know how this is switching.
I'm trying to tie it together. The federal government came out saying that same-sex married couples will be granted federal tax recognition regardless of what state they're currently residing in. So... yeah, so...
Those are all the kids cheering that their mommies and daddies and other mommies and other daddies all get the same tax benefits that other married couples get.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yay! Basically what this means, you would still have to go to a state that has legalized same-sex marriage. So let's say if I was living in Texas and I wanted to be able to file as a same-sex married couple, I would still have to go to like Maryland or something and then get married there, and then me and my wife would then be able to file federal taxes jointly regardless of what state. So that's the way that it works. You still have to go to a state to get married.
Are you asking me?
What?
Is this how you're asking me?
No, that's later.
I thought we were about to have a proposal on the air. Never mind.
No. No, that's the next fight of marriage equality, right?
Okay. The next one. We're both already engaged to other people, so we'll have to fight a little longer to be allowed to do that.
Right. So that's awesome. This is just one of many federal benefits that have been enumerated as being extended to all same-sex married couples regardless of what state they're living in.
Well, I would think that conservatives who are all pro-business and shit, you know, yay, capitalism, I guess, whatever. Yeah. I'm a pinko commie.
And benefits being extended.
Are we on air?
Yeah, we're back on. Fucking Time Warner.
I thought you got that shit fixed.
We're getting it fixed by Friday. Chris told me that we were getting it fixed next Friday. So I don't know.
Loudest sigh ever.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot what I was saying.
You were making a capitalism argument for same-sex benefits.
So think about it. All right, you're a same-sex couple that gets married in California, and you say you live there. Well, what if you want to take a vacation to Texas? I think you would probably be discouraged from that. Because if you go to Texas, well, because Texas, first of all, what the fuck is there here to see? I don't know. I go to Arlington and never go to Six Flags. That's how I am. But you would never want to. You would be discouraged from going there because what if something happened and you end up in the hospital or something like that, and they use Texas laws to claim that you weren't allowed, that you're not really married, and so therefore you're not allowed to make decisions for your partner. Like, what do? You're in another state, and sure, you can get tax benefits now, but you still don't have all those other benefits that go along with it.
Yeah.
So I could see conservatives making an argument for this from a capitalist point of view, and I don't really get why they don't. I guess it's because they're hypocritical assholes most of the time. So
It's because Jeebus.
Jeebus.
Even though Jeebus...
Capitalist Jeebus.
Even though Jeebus didn't say anything about homosexuality at all. But whatever.
No, I'm pretty sure he did. And
Did he?
First...
Jesusians.
I think everybody out there in Radioland can tell I have not read the Bible in like 4 years.
I've read the Bible. Even though I'm an atheist, I end up playing queer apologist for my kids a lot of the time. So I know what a lot of the anti-queer passages are, but I also know how to point out that they're dumb. So I think the whole damn Bible is dumb, but you gotta pick your battles. So I'd rather help my kid fight their bigoted parents than fight the whole damn Bible to begin with. So.
Well, I read the Bible like, I don't know, 10 times or something growing up, from cover to cover. But since I became an atheist, I was like, oh, fuck this shit. I don't ever have to read it again.
Oh, yeah, I haven't read it since I became an atheist.
I was trying to think of one of the books of the gospel, and I just my mind went blank. Matthew? Well, like Matthew. I think Jesus says it in Matthew.
Does he? I don't know.
God, it's either God hates figs or God hates fags. I get confused on that.
I love the God hates figs story, because that shit is hysterical.
Good one.
Jesus looks like a raving lunatic when you read the Bible.
For those out there wondering, because I'm not going to Google that for you.
I will.
Just Google God hates figs, and it'll come up with the verse for you. Oh, Dory's going to do it.
I got this. Hang on.
Okay.
Jeremiah 29:17. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will send upon them the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, and will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten. They are so evil.
No.
And there's even more. Jesus really fucking hates figs, because then there's Mark 11:12 through 14. And on the morrow, when they were come from Bethany, he was hungry, and seeing a fig tree afar off having leaves, he came. That's what she said. If haply he might find anything thereon. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for the time of figs was not yet. And Jesus answered and said unto it, No man eat fruit of thee hereafter forever. And his disciples heard it. I just want to know how fucking crazy the disciples thought Jesus was. They're like, dude, Jesus, it's not even, like, it's out of season, man.
Calm down, man. Just wait 3 months. There's a tree over there that is in season. Why don't you eat that?
I'm just picturing, like, no, God damn it, I wanted figs, and this fucking tree doesn't have it.
I wanted figs, and then remembered that thing from Jeremiah that said that figs were vile.
And evil.
I don't know. Wouldn't Jesus already know that? I mean, if he is God, doesn't he know? Whatever, I'm not getting into that.
No. Fuck the Trinity. We're not apologists. We don't have to justify this shit. It's ridiculous. That's the explanation.
Next thing. Segue.
I got this one. So, we've been listening to a lot of the unfortunately fucked up news about what's been going on in Russia with regards to the LGBT population. Pretty much every time there's an LGBT demonstration in Russia, it ends up in a bloody conflict with the queer people being arrested, despite the fact that they're the ones being assaulted. And it seems that's also happening to Pastafarians when they had a rally in Russia not too long ago. There was a Pastafarian rally in Russia, and the Pastafarians were attacked by the police. Basically, Russia's anti-gay laws have somehow been applied to them because the criminalized behavior is quote-unquote disrespecting religion. So apparently Pastafarianism is gay, and
I'm just imagining Putin bare chest on a horse, like while he's hunting a bear or some shit.
All greased up and
looking at Pastafarianism and being like, that is so gay. That was the image I had. You know how he is, like, just look up Putin and manliness, and you'll see so many pictures of him bare-chested and hunting or some shit. I don't know. He's really trying very hard to prove his manliness.
So, yeah, that's fun. I think I think Ken Ham is in our next story. That one's pretty fun.
Ooh, Ken Ham.
I love making fun of Ken Ham. I love making fun of all creationists, let's be fair.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
Whatever.
If they didn't want to be made fun of, they wouldn't be so ridiculous. That's how I feel.
Don't blame the victim, Dory. I don't consider Ken Ham a victim. I consider him an asshole who makes children into victims by teaching them lies. So I don't feel bad at all about making fun of him. But apparently he has finally admitted that science proves evolution, but says we should believe the Bible anyway.
Yeah, this is fucking priceless. Let me see if I can find the quote here.
This just has the video, I think.
No.
Oh.
Here it is. He said, "We have solid proof in our hands that evolution is a lie, the Bible. You see, we can't depend solely on our reasoning ability to convince skeptics. We present the evidence and do the best we can to convince people the truth of God by always pointing them to the Bible." So yeah, even when creationists flat out admit that intelligent design isn't science, that evolution is scientifically proven, they still go with but you should just believe anyway because Jeebus.
Well, Jesus said, as he rode on his velociraptor down the streets of Jerusalem, velociraptor plus 2 donkeys. It's in the Bible. Go read it, all right?
Is that also in Jesus Sias?
I think that one's in Luke. It's in Luke. It's somewhere in the back where nobody ever reads.
I don't believe it's in Revelations, because Revelations is like a bad acid trip.
That would be awesome if Revelation had, like, dinosaurs. That would be so cool.
It's got, like, 7-headed lions and shit in it. Like,
I don't know. Dinosaurs are pretty cool.
yeah.
Are they cooler than 7-headed lions?
I don't know. They're probably not as weird.
But anyways, I was quoting Jesus. Do not interrupt me while I quote Jesus, damn it. Jesus, damn it. I love saying
Jesus,
that.
damn it.
As he rode down the streets of Jerusalem on his velociraptor and 2 donkeys that he had his disciples steal. He didn't steal a velociraptor, that was his, but they stole the donkeys. He said unto the people's, evolution is a lie. As you can see, I'm riding on a velociraptor and it is not a bird. Therefore, evolution is a lie. And God created the earth by sprinkling magic dust on it or something. I don't know. But it's in the Bible somewhere.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have gone down that path.
It's in the back. I don't know. Didn't Ken Ham just have somebody who was visiting his creation museum get struck by lightning not that long ago?
Yes, he did. And while I do sincerely hope that person...
I don't wish them ill.
No.
I just appreciate the irony, that's all.
Yeah, I hope that they'll recover from their injuries. I heard they weren't life-threatening, as far as I know. But it does seem a little odd that they would get struck by lightning. I mean, looking at it from an atheist or skeptic point of view,
it makes sense.
Makes sense. I mean, it's not odd at all. But if you're looking at it from the point of view of someone who thinks that's a godly place, it's odd.
Maybe that's what brought this about. Maybe he's re-examining his life now that God seems to not like his creationist museum that well, at least from his perspective.
You know, I really don't think that guys like Ken Ham and Ray Comfort actually are creationists. I think they're just bullshitting for the money. I mean, wouldn't that be so much easier than actually learning stuff, you know?
I know Matt Dillahunty and other famous atheists have said before that if they're ever really hard up for money, the easiest way they can make money is just by pretending to become Christian.
That's true. They could do that. In fact,
I'm pretty sure you could.
I'm converting.
Yeah.
And I need money. Where's my money?
We're not famous enough to pull that yet.
And also, I don't think our listener base is Christians looking to give ex-atheists money.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And also, that definitely didn't sound sincere. I think Chris just threw up a bottle of liquor to us. What is that?
Apparently, my fiance tried to hurl my phone at me up
I just looked on the ground and there was a bottle of liquor on the ground, so I thought you threw that up there.
I tried to text him to grab my phone with your phone, and I just meant like, hey, can you shut my phone up because it keeps going off downstairs. But this works too. I've got my phone now.
All right.
It's cool.
So, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I'm electing Ruth Bader Ginsburg the boss of the week because this is so fucking cool.
Is this a thing?
Yes.
Okay, it's a thing.
It is now. I know it's a thing for Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the boss of the week, is going to officiate at a same-sex wedding, which I find totally amazing. It'll take place on Saturday I guess it was last
Yeah, it just happened Saturday.
At the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.
It's so cool. It's so cool. As far as I know, she's the first Supreme Court justice to ever officiate a wedding, let alone
Can she
same-sex.
officiate at my wedding?
I don't want to know what her honorarium would be, but
I don't want to know either.
no, if she officiated my wedding, I would, instead of serving champagne, I would serve whole milk, just 'cause.
That doesn't even make sense.
No. She was the one making fun of civil unions, calling it skim milk marriage.
Okay, yeah, I just read that line. Again, I skimmed these news articles while looking at chef memes.
I mean, that was back during the Prop 8 and
I don't remember
double
that
trials. Yeah. No, I love Ruth Bader Ginsburg during that. She was like a fucking beast. Like, she was not okay with the apologists for banning same-sex marriages. She was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. What's wrong with you? But in a more eloquent 100-year-old lady kind of way.
I don't know how eloquent I'd be at 100 years old. At
Yeah.
that point, I'd just be like, that's cool, or fuck that.
Sorry, bro.
It only had two reactions from me. No nuance, nothing like that. I'd just be like, if I don't like it, just like, fuck that. If I like it, be like, all right, that's cool. I mean, you don't got time for much else.
I feel like if you're as old as she is, I would expect you to act more like Judge Judy than the Supreme Court justices. Have you noticed? I only see her when I'm in waiting rooms, but it seems like Judge Judy has started to slowly become insane every time I see her.
I think my mom watches Judge Judy a lot. Yeah, she likes the daily courtroom dramas. In fact, I'm in a school degree program.
There you go.
Yeah. Again, I've been drinking.
Schmorkabork.
That makes no sense to any of our listeners.
I don't.
Anyways, so I'm in a degree program that is vaguely related to law, and that's all I'll say about it. And one of my professors said that she can't wait until same-sex marriage is legalized because then they can make daytime courtroom dramas out of it.
So Judge Judy arbitrating between gay couples.
Yes.
That's what she wants to see.
She wants to see that, and I think that's hilarious. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, boss of the week. You win a pat on the back from us if we ever meet you. Dory's just playing random drops at this point.
Basically.
All right.
I spent a lot of time making these drops, so I'm going to play them, damn it. So, I could have waited for this one, damn it. I forgot. Again, there's a lot of pretty awesome shit going on this week for same-sex couples and same-sex married couples. But a federal judge has ruled that the VA can't deny benefits to same-sex couples. As far as I know, that only applies to married same-sex couples, but again, it's kind of like the previous one we discussed, where as long as you get married in a state, it doesn't matter what other state you go to, because federally you're covered. So that's great. I only wish this had gone into place like way sooner, because there's so many people that this has already affected negatively. Like, the one that always comes to mind to me was Sally Ride and her partner when Sally Ride died, because I love Sally Ride. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, and I thought Sally Ride was just like the coolest person ever. But unfortunately, when she passed away, was that last year?
I think it was last year.
Yeah, I think it was last year. Unfortunately, her surviving spouse or partner, I don't know if they were married or not. I consider them married, whatever. Her wife. Her surviving wife wasn't able to get any benefits, which I just think is fucking shitty. You've got somebody who's basically an American hero of ours, and her surviving spouse isn't able to get anything that any other spouse would be, just because of the combination of their sexes. Like, to me, that's what drives me crazy, is you can think whatever dumb shit you want to think about same-sex marriage, but it doesn't affect you. It affects, it affects the people who are directly involved. What are you,
I was trying to find something with Sally Ride, and I can't find it now.
Is it the,
there was this meme going around for a while. I think it was right whenever she died, that was comparing her to, I think, another astronaut or service member of the military who died, and it was like, this is all the things that she accomplished, and her survivor didn't get anything. And then here's all the thing this guy accomplished, and this is all the benefits that their survivor got. And I wish I could find that meme, because it just, like, explained it so well. And now all I'm seeing are troll faces. So, fucking Google image search.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that one can hit close to home for me, because Sally Ride was she's still one of my heroes that I looked up to as a kid, so I didn't even know she was gay until I was an adult. That was just like an extra cherry on top,
It's sad, I never even heard of her until I was an adult.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, man.
It wasn't a big science, other than outside of creationism, wasn't a big topic in my house.
I'm glad my mom was a pretty radical feminist in a lot of ways.
Ew, I accidentally found a meme that says, Mom and Dad, children need both, like if you agree. And I'm like, fuck you.
Nope.
What about people whose dads have died? You gonna take the kid away and give him to a family that has a mom and a dad then?
Or whose dads are shitty, or whose moms are shitty, or,
whatever. Oh, I hate people who essentialize families like that, who say that certain kinds of families are automatically broken or terrible. I just hate it so much.
Speaking of broken families.
Oh, God. We debated talking about this, and we went back and forth, and I didn't want to, but then Ray Comfort said something, and I just have to make fun of Ray Comfort.
Right, we can't miss an opportunity to make fun of Ray Comfort.
So here it goes. We're going to talk about the Miley Cyrus VMA thing, sort of.
Sort of.
Mostly we're going to make fun of Ray Comfort, so that should be some consolation, I guess.
Before we start, I don't know, there's like a bunch of stuff on the blogosphere earlier this week that was about, I don't know, like slut shaming or slut empowerment,
yeah.
And then there was like appropriation of cultures, and I don't even watch the VMAs. I wasn't going to go and watch this because I had no desire to watch it to begin with.
I watched like 2 minutes of it, I think, and I was like, I'm still completely not interested. But, I mean, my take basically is that the first day or so after this happens, that's what I'll call it, this, most of the criticism I saw, at least outside of my feminist and social justice blogs and stuff that I read, was really just slut-shaming. It was just a whole bunch of slut-shaming bullshit. And then when I went in and I was like, oh God, I need to go to my safe space. So I went and read some of my feminism and social justice blogs. And the first couple that I read on it, of course, called out the slut-shaming. And then I started reading more, and there are some valid criticisms, misappropriating black culture, the fact that twerking isn't didn't necessarily start out as a sexual dance move. I mean, fuck, there are some older black women who do that in church. It's supposed to be a sign of joy. I mean, I read a whole article about the history of it, because obviously when a sweet little white girl starts twerking, we have to start studying the history of twerking to make sure it's okay. And that's just a whole other can of worms related to racism in this country. That's, you know, it just makes me sigh.
It was weird to me because I think for a lot of people this is like the first interaction they had with twerking.
I thought it used to be called poppin' it. That's what it was called. When I saw what twerking was, I was like, didn't that used to be called poppin' it? I'm not very hip though.
I work with gay teenagers for a living, and they've been twerking a hell of a lot longer than Miley Cyrus has been, and they can twerk a hell of a lot better than Miley Cyrus can. And it has nothing to do with race, because everybody's like, oh, she can't twerk because she's a white girl, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen some white girls that can bust it out, and I'm just saying, she just isn't good at it.
The part that has to do with race, the parts that I personally thought were really egregious. She at one point, I hate using the word literally in this fashion, but she used one of the black female dancers as a prop. She walked up this is basically a background dancer, and just slapped her in the ass, just like a prop. And I mean, it's a cultural trope or meme, and it flows from racism that black women's bodies are eroticized and they're considered exotic and hypersexual even, and that just really plays off of it. And I don't think Miley really understands all this. She's a young, little privileged white girl. I don't think she understands the history behind all of this, and I hope somebody educates her. I really do.
And that's a lot of what I was thinking about when all this shit was going down, is I was like, I highly doubt that Miley Cyrus is intentionally appropriating black women.
No, I think she's intentionally appropriating black women in the sense that she's trying to get out of her sweet Disney persona and be the bad girl, and that just adds a whole nother layer of fuck to that. That you would need to appropriate some of black culture in order to be considered the bad girl.
It was interesting because like I've got a lot of social justice blogs that I read and everything, and I was like fucking done with the internet for 2 days. I was like, I don't want to hear about Miley Cyrus, dude. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about Miley Cyrus. I don't care if she was lighting people on fire unless, I'm done. I'm done listening. I probably would, but I'm just saying. But it was weird because then I had my kids at the youth center who, most of them fucking love Miley Cyrus. And they came to her defense and they made some valid points, so I'm just like, I don't know what to think about it, basically. I'm done. I don't care.
Now that we've given some thought to it and talked about it in a sort of nuanced way, let's hear what Ray Comfort had to say. I can't say that without laughing because he's such a dumbass. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Honestly, the thing that came to my mind,
I didn't have my cursor on it. That's funny. Ready?
How must have her parents felt?
Her dad especially.
Especially her dad,
yeah.
right?
I mean, she has prostituted herself in the most horrible public fashion, and brought shame to him and dishonored her. I don't know if is it a broken family?
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately,
dishonored her father and her mother.
Yeah.
And what for?
Okay, first of all.
Broken family nonsense.
Broken family. You know what? My family was fixed when my parents got a divorce. I'll just put it out there right there. Yeah. My family was better after that.
Yeah, I would say my life vastly improved after my sister and I went to live with my mom, and only my mom.
I mean, I'm not going to say that divorce is always the best answer or anything, but sometimes it really is, and I don't consider it a broken family. So fuck you, Ray Comfort, and whoever that guy is sitting next to you.
Whoever his co-host is.
Second of all, really, this should have been the first of all, but whatever. Prostituting herself in the most horrible way. I don't think Ray Comfort understands anything about the sex slave trade.
Right. If she's prostituting herself, it's already not in the most horrible way I can imagine.
If she's doing it herself, then that's already better than somebody forced into it. I mean, and that's not touching on the whole problems with the media and how young women stars have to show more skin or whatever. I'm not even going to get into that, but basically it's still not worse than women who are sold into sex slavery, and that happens at an extraordinarily high rate, I guess I would say. No. I need to roll up a newspaper and just hit him on the nose and say, no, Ray Comfort.
This is not the worst thing.
No, it's not the worst thing.
Not even close.
No.
And what for? You know, it's very sad. Last night on television, I don't know if you saw this, but there's an item where two young guys, 16-year-olds, beat up an 88-year-old Second World War veteran to get money off him. They beat him to death and stole his money. And a police officer came on, and he looked very sad, and another guy...
What the fuck is he talking about? What does this have to do with Miley Cyrus? What does two 16-year-olds beating up a World War II veteran have to do with Miley Cyrus?
I really don't.
Is he high?
Are you high? I don't understand where he's coming from on that. I just have to laugh at Ray Comfort. Somehow connecting Miley Cyrus twerking to two men beating up
a World War II veteran.
A veteran.
For money. And somehow both of these tie back into humanism.
Maybe he'll connect the dots. Let's see.
All right. Let's give him a chance.
Guy came on. He said, you know, there's more than one victim here. There's the kids. They're the victim. You know, they've ruined their lives. And then the police officer came on, and he said, yeah, they came from a bad background. And this is the fruit of humanism. You know, if you abandon the scriptures, Mark's been stopped taking my...
I'm fairly certain that's not the root of humanism.
Did he say root or fruit? I think he said fruit.
I don't fucking know. But either way, that's not what humanism's about. Sorry about it.
If you've ever learned anything about humanist ethics, none of it has anything to do with beating up World War II veterans in order to take money from them.
Well, and none of it has to do with shifting accountability or responsibility either.
It does not. And the fact that we're able to... Looking at a situation like this where two men beat up another person in order to take their money, yes, that was bad. You shouldn't beat up other people and take their money. That's terrible. But it also brings into question the fact that we really do have a high poverty rate in the United States. I mean, how much hunger would it take? And I don't know that these guys in particular were super poor, and you know, I'm not trying to say that they're like Les Mis and stealing bread in order to keep their daughter alive or something. But it can bring it, you can start to think, you know, what would drive somebody to do this? And I don't think that takes away their accountability at all. I think that's trying to just get at the root of why somebody would do something like this.
What he seems to be irritated by is sociology, not humanism. Because sociology says, oh, what's the social cause for something like this happening? Humanism is just, you know, as far as we know, we've only got ourselves to rely on this rock that's flying through space at millions of miles an hour. We might as well learn to get along. That's basically all that humanism is. So it kind of, it goes against beating up a World War II veteran for his money.
And for this guy to go on and bring up biblical principles.
You want to talk about the Bible now?
Weren't the Israelites, I mean, it's been a while, but weren't the Israelites the ones who supposedly invaded other countries and...
In order to get land.
They stole their land and all their possessions, and sometimes just straight up fucking burned down their possessions. They killed that shit with fire.
To quote, who is it from Orange is the New Black? They were so bad their cows had to die.
They were so bad their cows had to die.
I love that show. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to bring the Bible as an example of not killing people for personal gain, what parts of the Bible are you bringing, and how are you negating those other horrific parts of the Bible?
I don't. Maybe he only read Song of Psalms, and he's like, "There's no killing in there, so it's
just
cool."
Lots of fucking Songs of Solomon, man.
It's all about screwing, so
Yeah.
we shouldn't be beating up people for money. Obviously, they would have to be. I can almost guarantee you, the men who did this were not humanists. I don't mean to play the not true Scotsman, but
I think it's a lot of this. Let's
let's interview them and ask them and see. I don't think they were humanists in the least.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Do we need to listen to more of that?
Oh, it gets even funnier.
Oh,
I
God.
promise.
Yeah, this is the first time I've listened to this.
Stop taking my photo. If you abandon the scriptures and lose the fear of God, you're going to go into humanism and say that man isn't sinful, he's basically good, and anyone who goes bad has gone off the rails of being good. But here Miley Cyrus hasn't had a bad background or a broken family. She's a sinful heart who's given herself to things that are sinful, knowing that she will get applause of men.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So to work with here.
Okay, another first of all. He said she hasn't had a bad background or a broken family. Didn't they
just get on to people?
just say she had a broken family?
Well, yeah, and then they just were ridiculing quote-unquote humanists for going, oh, these boys must have come from a bad background. And now they're using her background as an excuse for what she's doing.
And let's be clear here. Going on the VMAs and twerking badly is nowhere the same as
growing up in abject poverty, or...
Well, I'm just going to say, it's nowhere the same as beating up somebody and taking their money. That is not...
I don't know how he's even comparing the two.
I don't know. I mean...
Apparently, a 20-year-old former Disney Channel star vaguely expressing sexuality is just as bad as two 16-year-olds beating up a World War II veteran. That's the message I'm getting here.
Here's the thing with Ray Comfort and a whole bunch of other Christians who think like him. I'm not going to say all Christians because, whatever. I don't have to footnote this every time.
Chris texted me, the character we're referencing from Orange is the New Black is Black Cindy. That's her name.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Shout out to Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Keeping us real here.
Yep.
With our journalistic integrity.
Yep.
What was I saying? Yes. Okay, so the Christians who, Ray Comfort and others who think like him, they tend to have ethics in, these boxes. And it's not based on any sort of consequentialism. It's not based on any sort of rights that people might have that we should respect. It's based on, does God allow it? If God doesn't allow it, then it's just as bad as something else God doesn't allow. And I very clearly remember learning this when I was in church growing up. And they always tried to pass this off as a good thing. They tried to say, that means even if you've done something horrible, then God will still forgive you. And here I am, an 8-year-old or something, thinking, oh my God, that time I accidentally said the word crap. That's just as bad as murder.
Someone. And I remember when they did that in my church too, and I was like, no.
And I'm just like, yes, there are bad things, but there are degrees of bad things. Miley Cyrus did something that, from the racial point of view, tended to propagate cultural appropriation, which feeds into our racist society. I consider that a bad thing.
Yeah.
But she was also trying to establish herself as a more sexual agent now that she's no longer the little Disney brat. I don't know what to call. What do they call them? I don't know. The Disney.
I don't know. They're all fucking Disney princesses. Whatever.
Disney princess. Whatever. And so there's a mixed bag there. It's I want to say, yay, be your own sexual agent, but then I want to say, boo, don't do that. Don't climb on the backs of black women to do it. But I don't think that it's even comparable to banning to actually somebody. I don't think that's the same thing. And that comes from an ethical system that actually has to think about things and weigh them by their consequences and the victims of the action and, you know, all that jazz. And Ray Comfort comes from this point of view where if God says not to do it, then it's bad. It's the same bad as any other thing God says not to do.
Well, that's the problem with religion in general, is religion doesn't give you a moral code in order to figure out how it doesn't give you the tools to figure out what's ethical and what's not. All that it does is it gives you edicts that you have to follow.
Yeah. I mean,
so it doesn't equip you in order to, you know, like when there's shit that obviously isn't even in the Bible, like pornography. There's nothing in the Bible about pornography. Then they have to do all these weird mental gymnastics in order to try to figure out what God would have said about the Bible, would have said about pornography if he had been able to look into the future, which theoretically he should be able to.
Wouldn't he have told like, hey, and see,
it makes sense to you guys right now, but peeps in the 2000s are going to know what I'm talking about.
I mean, even then, porn has been around since, like, the dawn of civilization. How much? So shouldn't he have had something to say about it then if it was that bad? I don't know.
That's the problem with religion, is it only gives you, you know, blanket statements that you have to follow blindly. And even worse, I think, with the New Testament, is it basically goes into thought crimes on top of it, because Jesus says, you know, if you commit adultery with a woman in your heart, it's the same as if you've done it in real life, which basically just means, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. I've already thought about fucking her, so I might as well go ahead and fuck her, because it's the same thing.
That line of thinking really fucked me up growing up.
Right.
As a bisexual living in a household that didn't even acknowledge that bisexuality existed, and that people were either gay or straight in that they choose to be gay. And so I was like, wait a minute, so everybody has these feelings and everybody just chooses not to act on that side of their feelings? And then it got to the point where it's like I would see a pretty girl at school and have to avert my eyes, and I still sometimes do it, and I don't mean to. I'll see a pretty girl and look at her or something, and then suddenly I'll avert my eyes just from that indoctrination there. I was taught, you know, you can't think about her. You can't think about anybody that way. It was very damaging.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got to the point where there were times when, all right, I went ahead and fucked a girl. Well, I'd already thought about fucking her, so I may as well.
Right.
And there you go. I just don't understand how people can see this as a valid moral system. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's even moral. I mean, not in the context as in it is immoral, but in the context of it does not fit the definition of a moral system. All it's doing is saying, this is what God wants, you have to do it. It's just complete authoritarianism, and that's the type of stuff you expect 5-year-olds to understand, not the type of things that you expect.
Because I said so, basically.
That's what you tell a 4-year-old. That's what bad parents tell a 4-year-old.
Not even good parents tell their children that. So God is a shitty parent, basically.
I take that back. We sometimes, you know, I've worked with kids. You sometimes get to the point where you're like, fuck it, because I said so.
But that's why.
I take it back. I mean, good parents can say that too. I'm sorry. But
sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
you just don't expect a 30-year-old to still be going by that. You expect them to be able to stop and think about it and be like, okay, well, what are the consequences of my actions?
Why is this wrong? Who am I hurting?
Who am I hurting? Who am I benefiting? Does this hurt myself? Is it for my own self-interest? Is it for my self-interest and other people's interests? You know, there are so many things you can weigh on why something is or is not moral on so many different grounds. You don't need an authoritarian figure telling you this. And most people know that. That's the thing. Most people, I think, actually
Sorry.
Dang. Most people actually live their lives that way, you know, weighing the risks and benefits of their actions and things like that. But it's only when they come to something like gay marriage, or especially sex in our society,
especially sex,
that they suddenly have to fall back on this authoritarianism, because we're not taught to think in that way. We're not taught to weigh those types of actions in those ways. So fuck you, Ray Comfort. Just fuck you. I hope you Google your name and find this podcast and listen to it so that I can tell you personally.
And then I'll get all butthurt about it or something.
Yeah, he will get butthurt. All right, what's next? I'm done ranting.
All right.
For now.
Oh, man, this one's even worse. This asshole. Yeah. This is going to give me a sad, but hang on. Let me get it queued up in here.
Oh, it wasn't already?
It unfortunately.
I shouldn't complain. I'm the one who does the least amount of work for this podcast.
So I'm busting my ass. Give me a break.
So everybody knows. I just fucking show up and they're like, this is what we're talking about. And I say, okay. And then I get drunk and just start talking.
Yep.
I think everyone could already tell, though.
It's all good. If we were irreligiosophy, you would be Matt. That's what we've determined, right?
Yeah, I think
that's a bad thing.
No,
I love Matt.
Oh, same.
All right.
Shout out to irreligiosophy, by the way. I love their comeback.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. All right. So
to back this up a little bit. So this is gonna make me so irritated. So this is Stan Solomon, who runs a Tea Party show, and he decided to basically say that Trayvon Martin deserves to be dead, and somehow managed to tie in Dan Savage too. We're just gonna listen to this one uninterrupted, and then we'll get into it after the video.
Oh dear.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Listen to me carefully. No, you don't. You kiss my Obamas. I said, I don't give a damn what you do. I know what I'm going to do, and I know what people with an I and a Q are going to do. The left, which is godless and serves Satan, has an agenda. To accomplish their agenda, they have to get idiots, morons, numbnuts to do stupid things so the focus will be on them and not on the libs and not on the leftists. Jews, homosexuals, blacks, gays, Islamists. You may think they're disparate groups. They're not. They're all tools. Because while we're mad at these two punks, we're mad at Trayvon Martin, that thug that deserves to be dead, and I'm glad he's dead. Pieces of crap, homosexual like that. What's that one guy's name? Savage. That faggot. That horrible, awful, terrible excuse for a human being who's at the White House promoting attacks on Christians. I hope he dies. He probably will, of every disease known. By the way, I'm sending him a fire hydrant for his birthday. I'm hoping he'll sit on it. He'll slide all the way down to the ground. Sorry, fire hydrant fans. Don't mean to insult fire hydrant. At any rate, do you understand what I'm saying here? These groups are being recruited. Environmentalists, nuclear freeze. It doesn't make any difference what group it is. If you put anything ahead of doing what's right in God's eyes, or better yet, ignoring the reality of God, then you're a tool. You're a useful idiot.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my. How did you listen to that? Were you by yourself when you listened to that?
Yeah, I was in a very bad place after listening to that.
I thought I would have thrown, like, my trail cat across the room after listening to that.
Yeah, even now, and I've listened to it, I guess, twice.
Why are we giving him airtime again?
Oh, no, we're giving rightwingwatch.org airtime.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
We are. Thank you.
No, we're not giving him any traffic whatsoever. This is Right Wing Watch's video, and it's their link that we'll be sharing later.
Oh, good.
Fuck this asshole. He's not getting any traffic from us.
Oh, man. Okay.
So many fucking problems with this.
You can't be godless and serve Satan, alright? That's just illogical. If you're serving Satan, then Satan is your god. I mean, that's basically what he is. He's the trickster god of Judaism and Christianity, right? And Islam.
At least according to the Bible.
Sort of, yeah?
Yeah. No, he's in all three.
I wasn't sure if he was in the Quran. I've only read parts of it.
No, he's in there. I mean, it's to much lesser extent in Judaism, really, but...
I mean, he fails right then and there, right out the gate, that you can't be godless and serve Satan. It just doesn't work that way.
You'd think after how many decades of new atheism that at least that basic concept would have sunk in by now.
I don't know. And then what was with that guy behind him? For
the listeners, you can't see. We're watching the video while you're listening. There's a guy standing right behind this host who's like ranting and foaming at the mouth.
He looks
and the guy behind him looks the way that I looked when I watched this the first time. He looks fucking terrified.
Let me describe it. He's like this older white guy. I think he has a crew cut type of thing. Hold on, let me see.
He's pudgy, balding.
He looks like what you're
He looks like you're like.
Imagine your high school coach. That's what he looks like.
All right.
Football coach. I had the same high school football coach. Right? That's what it looks like. Just age him of like 2 decades or something. And that's what this guy looks like. But he had this like almost horrified look on his face the whole time. I don't know. It's maybe startled.
Yeah.
Maybe startled is the right way to.
I don't know if he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be on the Tea Party show today, and we're gonna talk about how Obama's ruining our country and taxes, and then I wandered into this shit. Like, I can't even keep track of all the hate speech that was in these 2 minutes.
Apparently, Jews and Muslims are the same.
And Muslims are the same.
And homosexuals.
And homosexuals. Apparently, Dan Savage deserves to die of every sexual transmitted disease imaginable.
I don't even maybe I'm just dumb or not perverted enough to get it. I don't know what he was referring to when he said if he sat on a fire hydrant. What was that about?
He's implying that his asshole is stretched so far that he'll slide down a fire.
So he's ignorant of biology because the anus doesn't stretch.
The anus doesn't stretch.
That's how that works.
Not that far.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I made you explain that. I was like, what? I don't understand what he's referring to.
Apparently he's really upset that Dan Savage got to go visit the White House and he didn't. That seems to me.
I'm sure
that was cheerful Thora. I can't imagine.
He wants to invite the guy who spews hate speech about him every week, or however often his show plays. I don't know. I'm sure I'll invite that guy to my house.
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin deserved to die? Really? What exactly did he do?
Apparently he's a thug. That's what he said. He's a thug who deserves to die. It reminds me
of those stupid conservative memes going around of pictures of Trayvon looking like a thug, and so they're like, he's not the sweet innocent kid you thought, and I'm just exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking. You can stop that now. I'm just
angry by the Trayvon Martin
there was this one meme of Trayvon like flipping off the camera or something. I'm like, what teenager doesn't
flipped off a camera before?
Hell, there are pictures of Dora and I with signs at a rally that are flipping off the camera.
With big giant middle fingers flipping off the whole White House, the Austin Capitol.
But we're white, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay for us to be angry.
And we're white women.
Or anything like that. Yeah, we're white women, so it's okay for us to do that. No, I'm sorry. A 14 or 15-year-old, however old he was when he did that, does not deserve to die for flipping off the camera and trying to act cool at some point in their life. I mean, doesn't everybody do that? And I heard other conservatives saying, oh, well, there was pot in his system. I'm like, what? What if the time there's pot in my system? Does that mean I deserve to die? Am I a thug? Of course, I'm white, so of course I'm not a thug. Black people can be thugs.
And when I heard that, they were like, oh, there was pot in his system. So, is there a half to that story, or what? Like,
do we give the death sentence to people who smoke pot now?
It's fucking weed. Who gives a shit? I don't care if he's got cocaine in his system, but fucking weed? Like, that's nothing.
I know. That's like
caffeine is more dangerous for you than weed.
That means about as much to me as it would mean if they were like, well, I had a poppy seed muffin the other day.
Yeah.
That sounds like to me. And
why do you carry that bag of Skittles?
And
that's...
And the thing is, they don't stop to think, or maybe they do, and they're just this terrible, but they don't stop to think that having smoked pot or acting like a thug to a camera at some point in your life does not warrant a death sentence. That's what they're saying.
That's not a fucking
They're saying,
offense.
we have these pictures of Trayvon looking like a thug, and I use that word very broadly, I guess. I don't know.
We're just quoting them.
Thug, I think, has some really really racial overtones there, because they normally don't use that against white people. Or at least if they do, they're implying that they're acting like black people. I've seen that before. No, just don't do it. But they're pretty much saying that looking like a thug warrants a death sentence. That it's okay to kill somebody if they do those things. They're not saying it was okay that he died because he was stealing stuff from somebody's house, which I still wouldn't say it's okay to kill somebody if they were doing, even if he was robbing someone's house, which he wasn't doing anything, he was going to the store to buy fucking Skittles. That doesn't warrant a death sentence. No, those are things. I mean, people need to get some fucking perspective here. You don't kill people just because they took a thing from you.
Right?
No, that's wrong, and if somebody takes a thing from you, they should be punished in some way, but
not death.
Not death. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
As a society, I would hope we had moved on from that, but obviously we hadn't, and I just, fuck this guy, and fuck other people who say this shit about that kid. No. I mean, do you know how many times I walked home from the store or whatever
when I
was a kid? I wore a hoodie almost every day of high school.
Yeah,
I had like 3 different hoodies. No one ever said shit to me.
Yeah.
This whole thing just pisses me off so much.
So I think this guy automatically wins our troll of the week.
I think he does. He's troll of the week.
I mean, really, he's only competing with Ray Comfort, and Ray Comfort doesn't have shit on this guy.
Ray Comfort's always a troll. It's not really that special.
Yeah.
This guy definitely wins troll. I don't even know his name. What was his name?
Solomon. I forget what his first name is.
I think Solomon was a troll in the Bible, too.
Stan Solomon.
Stan Solomon.
Congratulations. You're our troll of the week, asshole.
Yeah. Did we have a drop for that? Like we did last week.
We could drop the booing crowd again.
Okay. That goes on for entirely too long.
Yeah.
We need to find a way to shorten that.
We're a really angry crowd. That's all I can tell you.
Rabble, rabble.
Rabble, rabble, rabble.
All right. So that's all our news for the week.
That covers our news for the week.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about this week?
Here, let's go over to notes again. So as we already mentioned, next week we'll be discussing the fear of science. But just to touch on it briefly, what we mean when we talk about the fear of science is just the lack of science education in our country and the aftermath that we deal with because of it. So homeopathy, anti-vaccinators, GMO fear,
vaccinator.
creationism, just a bunch of fucking nonsense.
I will be back in 5 to 10 years, depending on what you need vaccinated.
Right.
I don't know.
Oh, that reminds me. How do we not talk about the church that just had a measles outbreak?
Shit.
We'll talk about it.
All right. We'll talk about it Friday.
Because that just happened this weekend. So. All right. So I think that's it. Sorry that this has been a shorter show than usual, but at least we got something out for you for this week. That's all the time we have. Be sure to join next week. Same Shethinker time, same Shethinker channel. Friday at midnight, which is our regularly scheduled time. Don't forget to like Secular View on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for all the latest stories published throughout the week. You can also follow the show on Spreaker at www.spreaker.com/secularview. Today's episode has been brought to you by Science. It works, bitches. And now, in the interest of being fair and unbiased, here is today's counter-argument.
Hold this, Kurt. Behold the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other. You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface. It has outward indicators of inward contents: green, too early; yellow, just right; black, too late. Now, if you go to the top of the banana, you'll find, as with the soda can makers, they placed a tab at the top. So God has placed a tab at the top. When you pull the tab, the contents don't squirt in your face. You'll find the wrapper, which is biodegradable, has perforations. Notice how gracefully it sits over the human hand. Notice it has a point at the top for ease of entry. It's just the right shape for the human mouth. It's chewy, easy to digest, and it's even curved toward the face to make the whole process so much easier. Seriously, Kurt, the whole of creation testifies to the genius of God's creative hand.